The crowd thought it was just another night of small-time wrestling entertainment. Families with kids, die-hard fans, and casual spectators filled the tiny gymnasium, laughing and cheering like it was all part of the show. But then, in a split second, everything changed. Roger Jackson, son of MMA legend Rampage Jackson, stormed into the ring, and what unfolded was not scripted, not choreographed, and not entertainment. It was real. Brutally real. New camera angles from the front row have now surfaced, and they don't just show the chaos, they reveal the ugly truth. The punches weren't staged, the blood wasn't fake, and the silence from the wrestlers sitting just feet away is deafening. This wasn't a performance, it was a violent meltdown caught on tape, and the world can't stop replaying it. It began like 100 other small wrestling shows. The kind where you can smell the popcorn before you even walk into the building, where kids wear oversized t-shirts of their favorite wrestlers, and where the ring ropes squeak louder than the crowd. The energy wasn't that of a giant Vegas pay-per-view. It was intimate, messy, and real. That night should have ended with high fives, smiles, and selfies. Instead, it spiraled into one of the most shocking viral moments of the decade. Newly released footage has ripped away the curtain. From the front row, with no shaky zoom or grainy blur, the angles show Roger Jackson's entrance and what happened after he snapped. This wasn't the story of a heated wrestling bit gone wrong, no. This was the story of how one man's rage swallowed an entire event, silenced a crowd, and left even seasoned fighters frozen in disbelief. The video begins innocently. You hear kids joking, parents chatting, a wrestler taunting in the ring. Then the camera jolts as someone shouts, "Heads up." That's the moment Roger steps forward. His body language is already alarming. Chest puffed, eyes locked, fists clenched. It isn't the stance of a man walking into scripted combat. It's the stance of someone ready to cause real damage. When Roger lunges, the crowd gasps, not cheers, not boos, gasps. You can hear a child's voice, trembling but clear, shouting, "He's hitting him for real." That single sentence pierces through the illusion. Wrestling thrives on blurring reality and fiction, but this was no blur. This was crystal clear violence, and every second of hesitation from those who could have stopped it now plays like a haunting echo. Stu, the wrestler unlucky enough to be targeted, collapses after the first real punch. His head snaps back, blood immediately painting his face. You don't need commentary to know it's bad. The camera catches the shock on the front row. Mouths wide open, hands over faces, nobody claps, nobody laughs, they just watch, frozen. The strangest part isn't Roger's fists, it's the silence of the wrestlers around the ring. Men and women trained in performance combat, who had shared locker rooms, who knew Stu personally, just stood there. Arms folded, feet planted, watching. It's like they were locked in a nightmare, unsure if stepping in would shatter the fragile wall between show and reality. And in that hesitation, Roger kept swinging. The new angles capture everything. The sound of knuckles hitting flesh, the sight of Stu's body convulsing, the crowd's growing horror. It is the kind of raw footage that makes you forget you're watching entertainment. It feels more like watching a street fight unfold in slow motion, except here there are kids only feet away, screaming in disbelief. Then comes the moment that sealed this event's infamy. One man, Douglas Mollo, known among fans but not a star, decides enough is enough. He charges into the ring, shoving through the invisible wall everyone else refused to break. The footage shows Mollo throwing his body between Stu and Roger, eating punches himself in the process. Unlike the others, he didn't freeze. Unlike the others, he acted. The crowd erupts, not in cheers but in desperate relief. At last someone intervened, but even then, it takes a barrage of punches and a risky headbutt from Mollo before Roger stumbles back. The chaos only grows. Officials rush in late, security is nowhere in sight, and the music system bizarrely blares as if the event is still rolling forward. The surreal mix of entertainment cues and real violence makes the entire scene feel like a fever dream. And then there is Stu. The new angle captures his body twitching, his chest heaving in unnatural, convulsive breaths. This is not a stunt. This is the body of a man's nervous system short-circuiting from trauma. It is horrifying to watch, and yet impossible to look away. The camera shakes as the person filming whispers, "Oh my God, he's bleeding so bad." That whisper has now become part of the internet's memory. Every repost, every reaction clip, every TikTok edit includes it, because that whisper represents what everyone felt, disbelief mixed with dread, the disbelief that this was happening at all, the dread of realizing that a human life might be slipping away right in front of them. By the time Roger is pulled back and restrained, the damage is already viral. Within hours, the clip spreads across social platforms. Headlines explode. Rampage Jackson's son snaps in wrestling ring. Unscripted violence leaves wrestler hospitalized. Was this attempted murder on camera? The angles make it undeniable. This wasn't entertainment. This was assault. But the footage also sparks another conversation. One that divides fans, fighters, and families. Why didn't anyone stop it sooner? Why did it take Molo, a man without the star power or authority, to put himself in danger while others stood by? In every replay, you can see the hesitation, the frozen faces, the unwillingness to break script. Some defend them. They say fear locks the body, that shock paralyzes even the strongest minds. Others call it cowardice. They argue that real fighters should never freeze when a life is on the line. Whatever the answer, those seconds of hesitation will follow each of them forever. And then there's Roger himself. Watching the angles, you see more than fists. You see fury. His eyes burn with something primal, unrestrained. This wasn't a heat of the moment shove or a punch thrown in anger. This was a man consumed, detached from consequence, unloading until someone physically ripped him away. For fans of Rampage Jackson, it's surreal. Rampage built his career on controlled aggression, balancing the brutality of MMA with charisma outside the cage. But now, his son is viral not for control, not for performance, but for losing it entirely. The name Jackson trends worldwide, but not for glory, for chaos. The truth is unavoidable. The angles stripped away excuses. They showed the punches, the blood, the silence, the paralysis of a crowd too stunned to act. They showed the heroism of one man and the fury of another, and they left no doubt this was not entertainment gone too far. This was a rampage, caught in brutal clarity. By the time the crowd filed out of that gym, nobody was smiling. Parents shielded their kids' eyes, whispers replaced cheers, and a wrestler lay bloodied in the ring. But the story didn't end there. It was just the beginning, because as the footage spread, so did the fallout. And for Roger Jackson, the rampage inside the ring was about to follow him into the real world. The night of Roger Jackson's rampage ended in chaos, but what followed in the days after became even louder. If the punches inside the ring shook a gymnasium, the fallout outside shook the entire internet. Within hours, clips from different angles, front row, balcony, even shaky cell phone captures, flooded platforms. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, every corner of the digital world seemed to pulse with the same disturbing footage. Roger Jackson losing control. The new front row angle hit hardest. It stripped away any defense, any plausible claim that it was part of the show. From that close, you could see every drop of blood, hear every crack of knuckle against bone, every desperate cry from the crowd. It wasn't entertainment, it was evidence, and the court of public opinion didn't wait for lawyers, police, or judges to weigh in. Roger was guilty in the eyes of millions before sunrise. The headlines came fast and furious. Rampage Jackson's son destroys wrestler in live event. Roger Jackson meltdown leaves fans horrified. Attempted murder or wrestling gone wrong. Mainstream outlets picked it up by morning, plastering Roger's face alongside his father's legacy. But what enraged fans most wasn't just the act itself, it was the silence from those closest to him. Rampage Jackson, legendary MMA fighter, known for brutal knockouts inside the cage, suddenly became the man everyone wanted to hear from. What would he say about his son? Would he defend him, condemn him, apologize? At first, Rampage said nothing, and that silence was deafening. By day 2, clips of Roger leaving the venue surfaced. In them, he wasn't apologetic or shaken. He was ranting, shirt torn, eyes wild, voice booming. I'm tired of everybody playing with me, bro. You can't mess with me. You can't do nothing to me. The words echoed like gasoline on an already raging fire. It wasn't remorse, it was defiance. Fans replayed the clip endlessly. His entourage can be heard trying to calm him down, pleading, "Let's go, Roger. Come on, don't say nothing else." But he wouldn't stop. He barked back at imaginary threats, swung his arms at the air, pacing like a caged animal. To millions watching, it confirmed the worst. This wasn't just a slip. This was who he was, and then the reactions began. Content creators, fighters, comedians, even mainstream celebrities weighed in. Streams went live dissecting every second of footage. Reaction channels boomed overnight, their thumbnails screaming, "Roger loses IT live," "New angles are insane," "Rampage son finished." Some voices defended him, blaming stress, mental health, or the heat of the moment. Others were merciless. They called him a disgrace, a danger, a man who had thrown away any future in sports or entertainment. One particularly sharp voice was Ime Guru, a popular analyst with a massive following. On his stream, he didn't hold back. He called Roger a dumb animal and accused him of lacking impulse control. He painted the scene as attempted murder, not an accident. Those words, "dumb animal," went viral on their own. Clips of Guru saying them spread across social feeds, sparking debates about racism, cultural context, and whether Guru had crossed a line. Some defended him, saying his outrage was justified. Others slammed him, arguing his choice of words was racially charged. This was the moment Rampage Jackson finally broke his silence. On his own live stream, he addressed Guru directly. "That guy's supposed to be a journalist," Rampage said, his tone controlled but burning. And what came out of his mouth showed what's in his heart. "That's racism, straight up." He continued, "Nobody wants to hear racist trash about their kids, no matter what they did. That's my son. You don't have to defend him, but you don't get to dehumanize him." The internet split instantly. Some sided with Rampage, agreeing that the language was out of bounds. Others argued Rampage was dodging the bigger issue, his son's violent outburst. Guru doubled down, posting a follow-up video. "I saw an attempted murderer, not a victim. I'll call him what he is, and I don't care who his father is." The back and forth escalated. Guru's supporters accused Rampage of hiding behind race to protect his son. Rampage's defenders accused Guru of fanning flames that racist trolls happily amplified. Meanwhile, Roger himself said nothing, at least publicly, but his silence didn't save him. Every day, new consequences landed. Sponsors pulled back from events linked to the Jackson family. Independent wrestling promotions scrubbed Roger's name from future cards. MMA circles whispered that even if he ever had dreams of following his father into the cage, they were finished now. No commission would sanction a man with this kind of baggage. Behind the scenes, rumors swirled that police were investigating. Commentators pointed to past cases where viral fight videos led to criminal charges. "Don't think he's getting away with this," one journalist said. "The DA is going to build their case carefully. It may take weeks, maybe months, but the cameras don't lie." Meanwhile, Stu, the victim, remained hospitalized. Updates were scarce, but what leaked painted a grim picture. Fractured orbital bone, concussion, heavy blood loss. His breathing on the video, that terrifying convulsion, had been a seizure response from head trauma. He was alive, but the road back looked long. The silence from Stu only fueled speculation. Would he sue? Would he press charges? Would he ever wrestle again? Every unanswered question added fuel to the firestorm. And then came the fan reactions. Clips of children in the front row, their shocked voices captured forever, went viral. Parents posted online, furious that their kids had witnessed real violence at what was supposed to be family-friendly entertainment. "My son still has nightmares," one mother tweeted. "He keeps asking me why nobody helped." That single question, why nobody helped, became the moral shadow hanging over everyone who stood by that night. Fans dissected frame by frame, pointing at wrestlers frozen on the sidelines. Memes mocked them, calling them spectators of the year. But others empathized, recalling times they themselves had frozen in shocking situations. The narrative twisted and turned daily. Roger wasn't just a fighter's son anymore. He was a symbol of rage, of viral culture, of the thin line between spectacle and reality. To some, he was a villain who had exposed the cowardice of those around him. To others, he was a broken man, a cautionary tale of what happens when pressure, fame, and violence mix unchecked. Rampage Jackson's name trended alongside his son's in every headline. The MMA veteran tried to control the narrative, insisting that his son needed help, not labels. But the internet rarely shows mercy. Roger's clips were remixed into TikTok sounds, GIFs, and memes, each one stripping the event of its human weight and turning it into viral entertainment. What had started as a violent outburst inside a school gym had now become a cultural flashpoint. Conversations about race, violence, parenting, and internet sensationalism swirled endlessly, and in the middle of it all stood Roger Jackson, silent, infamous, and under investigation. But the truth is, the fallout wasn't just about Roger. It was about what came next: Stu's condition, the potential charges, the legacy of Rampage Jackson himself, and above all, the chilling question: if new angles showed the truth of what happened inside the ring, what truth would be revealed about Roger Jackson outside of it? As days turned to weeks, the footage of Roger Jackson's rampage refused to fade. Unlike other viral clips that burn bright and vanish, this one lingered. It wasn't just entertainment. It was a story of violence, responsibility, and legacy. And each new detail that surfaced only deepened the impact. The first came from Stu himself. After weeks in recovery, he finally spoke from a hospital bed. His face was swollen, stitches tracing across his cheek, his voice raspy but steady. "I don't remember much after the first punch," he admitted. "All I know is I woke up here, and they told me I'm lucky to be alive." His words were simple, but the weight behind them was heavy. Millions who had watched his body convulse in the ring now had confirmation. What they saw wasn't exaggeration, it was survival. The interview spread quickly. Fans rallied around him, donations poured in, hashtags trended, #Justice for Stu. He became a symbol of resilience, the man who endured Roger Jackson's storm and lived to tell it. But his quiet strength only sharpened the contrast to Roger's silence. Meanwhile, whispers of legal consequences grew louder. Insiders claimed detectives had already interviewed witnesses, collected videos, and built a case. The footage wasn't just trending, it was evidence. Lawyers speculated publicly. Would Roger face assault charges? Attempted murder? The ambiguity made the drama even more electric. Everyone had an opinion, and every opinion added to the pressure. Rampage Jackson stood in the center of the storm. No longer just a legendary fighter, he was now a father defending his bloodline in the harshest spotlight imaginable. His streams became therapy sessions, with fans flooding the chat demanding answers. Sometimes he defended Roger, other times he admitted disappointment, but always his words carried a mix of anger and heartbreak. "He's my son," Rampage repeated in one stream, voice cracking. "I can't give up on him, but I can't defend what he did either." The split between father and son became its own story. Clips of Rampage pleading for empathy went viral. Some fans sympathized, praising his honesty. Others accused him of enabling Roger for too long. Every sentence was dissected, every facial expression memed. The Jackson family was no longer just a name in combat sports. It was reality TV, broadcast across the internet. But the most haunting angle came from the crowd. More videos surfaced, this time of kids recounting what they'd seen. In one viral TikTok, a boy barely 10 years old sat on his couch, his voice shaky. "He was bleeding so bad. I thought he was gonna die." Millions watched, hearts sinking. This wasn't just about fighters, fathers, or fallout. It was about children traumatized by violence masquerading as entertainment. Promoters scrambled to control the damage. The small wrestling organization that hosted the event released statements, promising tighter security and stricter rules. But their words fell flat. Fans demanded accountability. How could they let Roger enter the ring unchecked? Why wasn't there protection for performers? Lawsuits loomed. As chaos swirled, Roger himself remained a ghost. No statements, no interviews, no apologies. His absence only fueled speculation. Some claimed he was hiding. Others believed his father had forced him into silence until lawyers advised otherwise. But silence in the internet age isn't safety, it's gasoline. Every day he stayed quiet, the narrative hardened against him. Then a twist, new footage leaked, not of the fight, but of Roger days before. In a backstage vlog recorded by another wrestler, Roger could be seen pacing, muttering, clearly agitated. "I'm tired of people disrespecting me," he said into the background, unaware of the camera. "I'm tired of being treated like I'm nothing." The clip went viral instantly. It painted him not as a random aggressor, but as a man boiling over long before the ring. Psychologists weighed in on panels and podcasts. This wasn't about wrestling. One said, this was about identity, pressure, and unresolved rage. Some fans shifted, viewing Roger as a tragic figure spiraling under expectations of living in his father's shadow. Others dismissed it as excuses. Plenty of people feel pressure. One viral tweet argued, they don't nearly kill somebody because of it. By now, the conversation had moved beyond Roger. It became a cultural mirror. Commentators debated toxic masculinity, the role of fathers, the dangers of blending performance with real violence. Memes collided with think pieces, TikTok dances with serious documentaries. The footage wasn't just entertainment anymore, it was history, shaping conversations about sports, fame, and responsibility. And yet, through all of it, the most haunting image remained the same. Stu on the mat, body convulsing, breath ragged, life hanging by a thread. That single image refused to be forgotten. It replayed on screens, on minds, in nightmares. It was the truth captured in pixels. The truth that Roger's fists turned a scripted night into reality's darkest show. Finally, weeks later, Roger surfaced, not on a stream, not in a press conference, but in a leaked phone recording. He spoke quietly, his voice stripped of bravado. "I messed up," he said. "I don't know what came over me. I wasn't thinking. I wasn't myself, but I can't take it back." The clip spread like wildfire, dissected for sincerity, tone, even background noise. Was it a genuine admission, or another performance crafted for sympathy? The internet couldn't agree. What everyone did agree on was this: his life would never be the same. Sponsorships gone, wrestling over MMA impossible. His name was tied forever to one word, Rampage, but not in the way his father once carried it with pride. For Roger, Rampage meant chaos, shame, and infamy. As for Rampage Jackson, his legacy shifted too. No matter how many knockouts or victories he once held, his name now carried the shadow of his son's meltdown. Interviews about his career inevitably circled back to Roger. Questions about his own fights were drowned out by questions about his son's. For a man who once commanded cages and arenas, the loss of narrative control was a different kind of defeat. And yet, beneath the debates, the headlines, the streams, one truth rang louder than any other. The truth the new angles had revealed, that behind the spectacle of wrestling, behind the fame of fighting families, behind the viral hashtags and digital noise, there were people who bleed, people who suffer, people who freeze, people who act. The truth was simple, brutal, and undeniable. Roger Jackson's Rampage wasn't just a moment caught on camera. It was a mirror reflecting violence, fear, legacy, silence, and consequence. And once the world saw it, it could never be unseen. The gymnasium that night was small, the crowd was small, but the impact was global. And as the dust settled, one chilling reality remained. Sometimes the scariest part of a rampage isn't the rage itself. It's the silence that lets it happen.